All right. Hi, everybody. How is everybody doing?
I am very tired, and I don't know why anyone got me awake.
Please kill me.
I'm fine, I guess.
It's going great so far.
Three responses I expected. 100%.
Well, the best one out of all of us was D. So, D, what are we doing today?
Podcast. But is it really a podcast because we have video?
There are some podcasters that have video.
Yeah, I think you do podcasts with video.
Yeah.
Technically something.
Yeah,
We don't.
I've got my kilo of beans. They're all in pots, so I'm ready to cast them out. Where are we throwing this?
I heard something great on the radio yesterday, and I did what I normally do and changed it and made it better. But it's something along the lines of, "Hey, I saw you in a back alley the other day and saw your pod getting casted."
This is it. This is really what it was. You guys just did this long 6-month bit to get me to agree to do a podcast so you guys can spit puns at me while I'm recording.
6 months.
To make me sit here and fucking wait this out. This is great.
Bitch, please.
Correct.
It's been way longer than 6 months.
I'm playing the long con.
It's like 16 years. It's fun. All right. Welcome to the Imbeciles podcast.
Imbeciles. Did we ever decide on a name, actually? While we're on the topic?
Did we come up? No, I was actually going to get to that. I was just like, we don't really have a title for this yet. It'll probably just happen organically.
I was thinking Imbeciles do podcasts. Imblecast, that works too.
Imblecast?
Imblecast or Imbeciles do podcast?
Imbeciles do podcast.
The intro.
Yeah, cue the intro.
Throw it over to my co-host D.
You've suddenly been promoted to co-host.
Yeah, she's been. That originally was me, and then
the other two
I went out last night.
Oh, you can just get right into it. What do you feel like talking about today? Do we want to go into our channel a little bit, just what we do on there?
How about we tell people that season 1 has been wrapped up? We're going to concentrate on season 2 of Imbeciles Plays Games. Please look forward to more content.
The only problem with us doing a video feed of us doing a podcast is you can see all of the gestures that usually you can't, like me rubbing my forehead in shame.
Yeah, I think that's...
And just the general look of distress on my face.
But you live for that reaction from us.
Yeah, I think it's
don't. I think the only reason why I do this is I feel like it shortens my lifespan ever so slightly. So the more I listen to it, the sooner I can get to that that cutoff point.
Tim, everything shortens your lifespan.
You're not wrong.
Breathing does
everything. Yep, you die a little bit every second.
You just have a little coffee. Coffee just helps.
No, it really doesn't.
It does for me. No, awake enough for this.
It does help bring you closer to death, so...
Well, okay. So, I would say that if we are going to start with how we all came about and how the channel came about, all of our stories are very kind of intricate. And I'm kind of in the middle of all 3 of your guys' stories. So first, Deanna was born, and then
it all started
when Deanna was born. I forced a controller in her hand.
Let's see. We played Minecraft. We built a giant emerald house with some diamonds in there as well.
That was so fun.
I think you forced me to play Worms too.
I absolutely did. Absolutely did.
Like Worms also, or did you start her out with Worms 2?
Worms Armageddon.
Okay.
That's the one that we played. But it was after we played 3 or 4 hours of Minecraft. I'm just like, hey, you want to play Worms? She's like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, cool. Bam! Do it again.
Actually, I think that was the first ever mention of Alex, though, because how you got me into Minecraft was you were just like, hey, look at this lighthouse Alex and I built. And I'm like, I don't know who Alex is, but okay. But then, like, after I met him, I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of remember that.
I remember the lighthouse. Build a lighthouse?
So the other problem with all of this is Alex has a terrible memory. So any recollection of any previous game or any map that we've ever done, it's,
Alex, you used to play Minecraft and you used to put videos on YouTube about it. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Do you remember? Alex, do you remember?
I can actually look up one of my first videos, like 12 years ago.
I remember he showed me that, and I was just like, oh, you have such a cute little tiny voice.
I know. We're going to put that link in the description. So.
Okay. Yeah.
That's going to be great.
Link to one of Alex's first videos.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now when the first video was, but keep on talking.
So then it was...
Just a side note, like my first like YouTube videos I used to post were like DBZ music videos. Now the resolution is so small, like you can't read even the titles that I put on the videos, like because the resolution is so small. They're like 640 by 480, maybe.
Filmed on like the original camera phone that had like an external attachment to it.
Yeah, right, 10 frames a second. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so going back, then it was just Deanna started getting online and started playing games, and eventually I was just like, hey, play games with us. No. Play games with us. Come on. No. And then it's been, what, 2 years now? 3 years?
Can't imagine why she was hesitant in the first place.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have started that sentence with, yeah, come hang out with my friends. They're kind of like me. I can only handle one of you. Like, but again, that's been, what, 3 years, D, since you've been, like, seriously actively playing games with us?
Just about, I think, yeah.
Then, in the midst of all of that and dragging you into the middle of all of this nonsense, Alex and I met. Which is long and funny story. Jason, you're last. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I kind of want to like warn people, be like, I don't know what fucking order he's doing these in, but like grab a pen and paper because you're gonna need it. He's all over the place right now.
I was going over just timelines of when we started playing games and then when it all meets together at the same time.
Well, I think your exact words were, here's when it all started, and then you picked like the mid-2000s.
It's good enough. It's good enough. I had to go with the youngest member. Come on.
Okay.
I played games with her first before I played games with either of you.
Okay, Tarantino, let's just keep going from the backwards to the forwards.
You guys are fine. Just get a pen and paper. Alex, why don't you kick off this story? Because I think there's two sides to it.
The sanitized version, or
yes.
In preparation for this, Alex asked me yesterday, like, I think we'll have to like sanitize the story about Tim and I meeting. I was like, just cut out all the wiener parts.
All right. If I cut out all the wiener parts.
It's a good 3-minute story.
But it actually starts when I already knew Connie.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah. No, sorry, Connie. Annie.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I cut all... I'm German, by the way, if anybody's listening to this podcast for the very first time and doesn't know us. These guys that you see on camera are actually in America and look good. I am in Germany and I look like a bridge troll, so no video for you.
A very sexy bridge troll, I might add.
The bridge is the okay. We didn't even do introductions.
Anyway. Say what now?
We're bad at this. We didn't even do introductions. Alex is the one not pictured. Alex is the little Bulbasaur.
Yeah, hello.
Jason.
Which is currently not recorded, by the way. So we're gonna have to just cut in a picture of Bulbasaur.
Just fly in a piece of Bulbasaur.
Yeah, just fly it across the screen. Like, make sure it's jabbing too.
Dabbing Bulbasaur, love it.
I'll take care of that.
So
intro.
Alex, continue.
Yeah. So if I cut out all the wiener parts, I met a girl named Annie that Tim calls Connie, so I sometimes get that confused. And
that's my favorite part of the story.
She was like, hey, do you want to play League with me? I was like, yeah, sure, League of Legends.
League of Legends.
So I played a few games with her, and then she was like, yeah, somebody's going to join us. His name's Tim. You're okay with him joining? And I was like, it's like, okay. So I don't think we were even in Skype on the first few games.
No, it was Skype. Because
for the first few games, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was Skype for the first few games. So we'll keep Tarantinoing this. So I get a message from Connie after I get home from work, and I used to work just shit hours. They were just super early in the morning. So by the time I get a message from her, I had already been awake like 12 hours. And it was like, what time? It was like noon or something like that on like a Monday or some shit. And she's like, hey, like, you want to play League? I'm like, yeah, sure. She's like, hey, do you want to play with a friend of mine? I was like, not really. She's like, come on, it'll be fun. You'll like him. I was just like, you say that about everyone that you introduce me to, and I fucking hate them. And she's like, this one will be different, I promise. I'm like, you're a liar. She's like, just come on, it'll be fine. Like, we need another person anyway. Fine. And then I got thrown into a Skype call with Alex. Same reaction. Which actually, yeah, saying it out loud now, like, Connie never admitted that. Because we've talked about it in the past, but we've never really had, like that moment where we're like, we both just gave her the same reaction. She's probably sitting there like, I'm about to introduce two of the dumbest people I know together.
No. I didn't actually verbalize the because I hadn't known Annie for that long at that point, and I was still in the phase of like, I gotta pretend to be fucking normal, you know, to be a sociable human being.
Empathize,
and it didn't work for long.
No, because not 2 games later, I get the still to this day my favorite question. Tim? Yeah? Why are you doing that? I don't know. You need to stop doing that. We were playing League and we were on bot, and I don't know who I was playing. I don't know if I was trying to be an ADC or support or anything along those lines. But he's like, you need to stop. And then from there on, it was just stop. Fucking, what are you doing? Stop. And it's just screaming the rest of the time.
Yeah, mostly yelled at him, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that was the beginning of our friendship, was just yelling. It's just angry
German yelling.
Angry German yelling. And then me just be like, I'm sorry, I don't know how to play this game. And what was worse is like, that was my first introduction to computer games, was League of Legends with Alex. So the fact that I'm even still playing on a computer with him is fucking terrible.
Well, that was the most amazing part of the story to me, was like, and you continued to play League, and you continued to hang out with Alex.
Well, between all the yelling and between all the screaming at each other, we actually like talked. We talked and we hit it off pretty well. I think you got out of a really bad relationship at that point.
Yeah, that's another podcast story. That's a really funny story, though. It's a really funny fucking story, though.
And we talked about that, and coincidentally, I also got out of a really shitty relationship.
Also another podcast story, because that's really funny, too.
Another podcast, and 2 stab wounds later. Let's talk about that at a later point.
Welcome to the Imbeciles with Broken Hearts podcast.
Yes. Yeah. No, we between all the yelling, we really hit it off, and at some point he stopped being fucking useless as a support, and actually started like being helpful.
It's also true.
I didn't have any more reason to yell at him, so the talking got more important than the yelling.
Until we switched games. The yelling came back. But we'll get to that probably a little later, because I think, well, I know I have that for a topic that we have for later, but I don't know if Alex does, but I think at this point, not a week later, I met Jason on the most ridiculous terms. I'll let Jason tell this part of the story. So it's really funny that one of my best friends and stuff like that through high school and even now introduced me to Alex, who just same consider family and everything else. But then not a week later, I get a random dumb invite to go do something menial and stupid that I was just like, fine. And that this like the same person again, not a week later. But I'll let Jason tell that one.
And so, like, apparently Tim's stories, this starts in the mid-2000s.
Jason just graduated high school.
No. I was in college and I was playing, I got into World of Warcraft, and one of the people that I played with, he was like 16 when we started playing WoW together, and played WoW with him for like 9 years. And then like I stopped, I moved back to Minnesota. He was from Texas, I believe. He calls me one day. He's like, hey, I'm moving to Minnesota. And I was like, no way, that's sweet. And so he ended up living like, I don't know, 20 minutes from me. And then he called me again. He's like, hey, I'm moving houses. Can you help me move? And I was like, sure, I'll help you move. You know, we've hung out a few times at this point, and him and his girlfriend, like I played WoW with both of them. They're both complete nerds, and heavy drinkers. So it's like, you know, my kind of people. So go over to help him move, and like I'm helping, and there's also lots of people that I don't know there, and there was a open passenger seat in some asshole's car, and I got in, and there was Tim in the driver's seat.
So,
and like it was like I remember it being dead silent, and then Tim's like, so I heard you play League.
That's not all though. So same thing, I had just moved back and I just took a random part-time job, which just so happens to be the same mutual friend. And so I can't remember if he asked me when we were at work or if he texted me, but he asked me, he's just like, dude, we could really use an extra set of hands. I'm moving. Do you think you can give me a hand? I'm like, yeah, sure, I guess. I'm like, when? He's like, well, it's actually this weekend. Like, all right. So I show up. By the way, dead of winter. I don't recommend moving. There was so much fucking snow everywhere. And they had like, what he failed to mention is they had like a 12-bedroom house, it felt like. And there was so much stuff to move, and it was just insane.
It wasn't a particularly big house, but there were tons of stairs. You remember that? Small house of stairs.
Just stairs everywhere. Like, why do you have so many stairs? Like, when you get up to the house, it looks like a flat, level house, and then there's just stairs leading everywhere.
It's an MC Escher painting.
Stairs up and stairs down.
So yeah, I was the asshole who showed up. I grabbed like just a bunch of clothes, stuffed them in my trunk, threw them in my back seat, and everything else. And I can't remember what the conditions were, but it was just decided like, yeah, Jason, just ride with Tim, we'll meet you there. Well, we get in the car, we start driving, I'm just like, hey, like, how's it going? And then like dead silent. And this is my favorite part. This is how I found out you played League, because I don't think you remember this. Drew called you and you two started talking, and then I overheard him on his side started mentioning something about a League match that you guys were in. And then you started commenting back, and you mentioned like a character's name, and I don't remember what. But as soon as you hung up the phone, I was just like, "League?" You're like, "Yeah, cool, yeah, me too." I'm like, I just started playing, and then we just started talking after that.
Yeah, that's how it started. I remember the condition that like led me to be in your car, and that was because we had packed stuff in like the moving truck and in people's vehicles, including yours, but nothing was in mine. And so it didn't make sense for me to drive my car to their new place. So I just rode along with you to help unload.
Yeah, because then I think the plan was, this is funny too. So the plan was I was going to drive you back to your car, and then we just go our separate ways after that point. But we swapped usernames, so we actually added each other on League. But it was the fault. Like at that point, I don't even think we played that first week together. Because I remember distinctly, he got his house together and everything else, and he invited us back. And so we actually hung out together in person before we even played League together again. And we sat there and we shot pool till what, like 3 a.m. or something like that.
Yep, because the new place they have like a big common area with a big pool, bunch of pool tables, I think.
Yeah, and so we sat there, we played pool, and very similar to Alex, we sat there and bullshitted until the wee hours of the morning. And then it was, I think the next day, we were just like, Alex was online, I was online, Jason hopped online. I'm just like, hey, why don't we all just play?
Commingle.
And thus the broship was formed.
Yep.
And then like 16 and a half years later, Deanna joined us.
Added us some interloper, yeah.
I probably had more of a similar reaction to D to joining this group, where I was just like, oh God, people.
Other people.
So Deanna, for the camera, do you think that you were forced into this group, or did we just like morph you as one of the members?
Look into the camera.
Look into the camera.
Let's see.
Remember what we talked about.
Tim and I were playing Stardew Valley, and then he's like, hey, my friend, I think it was Jason. Jason's online. Like, let's go talk with him. I'm like, this is so weird. Jason doesn't even play Stardew. Like, why is Jason here? What the heck?
All valid concerns.
Yeah. And to me, like, thinking about it now, like, yeah, that's kind of a weird situation to throw your sister into. Like, this dude doesn't play any games that you like, but let's go talk to him.
Yeah.
Also, he has a van and candy, which you should absolutely say yes to. Like,
well, yeah, why wouldn't you? It's candy.
The fucking lie. True. I don't have a van.
That's the part of the story he refutes. I don't have a van.
Oh man, but I got lots of candy.
Yeah, I do have lots of candy.
He lives a couple states away. It's fine.
That's I think that's pretty much it. Because since then we've bought so many games for each other, especially during the beginning, because. Not to call Alex out too much, but super broke during his apprenticeship.
Oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
I was working part-time, so I was just as broke.
Yep.
But we sit there and like swap games with each other. Anything that would like prompt more conversation between all of us is like the only thing that we did. Granted, we always fell back with League, but we always kept trying different things just to keep each other talking and like straight vibing, I guess.
Yeah, the big game that I think broke us away from League, I think, was PUBG.
Yeah, it was.
That was.
I remember uninstalling it when we started that game.
What's that?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
I said I remember uninstalling League when we started playing PUBG. No, that was...
Wasn't that about the time that we discovered Discord too?
Yeah.
It should be about the same time, right?
Yeah. Well, I think since D already kind of threw that out there earlier, well, I guess I kind of threw her under the bus for that one too, about playing Minecraft and stuff together. Like, how did you guys get into like games and stuff? I don't think I've ever actually asked that of any of you. And D, feel free to chime in too, because the earliest thing I can remember is throwing an Xbox controller in your hand. And I don't get me wrong, when you were 4 and playing Wii and stuff, I don't talk about that because I've never been beaten so badly at Wii bowling in my entire life. So I don't acknowledge that. That was an entirely different person. So that only comes out in some Apex matches.
Yeah, I found a bug in that game or something, because I'd like, I'm like tiny. I'm 4 years old, and I'd take the Wii remote. I'd like go to like throw the ball, and then I'd do this little spin as I did it, and I'd always get a strike.
Yeah, she bowled four 300 games in a row. I'm like, what are you doing?
That's amazing.
This is not fair. I'm just mad.
Yeah, I guess I could start because mine is relatively uneventful. my family has always been kind of poor. Not really poor, but my mom raised me alone and always had sort of menial jobs. So, we weren't well off. I've never starved in my life, but as you can tell by this gut, but
nobody can tell that. We can't see you.
Oh yeah.
But the troll comment, we'll remember that. This is what I'm picturing.
Yeah.
I'd just like to clarify that Alex is definitely in shape. It's just round.
Round is a shape.
Round is a shape.
Round is a shape. Anyway.
Currently, thanks to my Udi, I'm a triangle. This thing is ginormous.
So anyway, the first thing I ever got was a PlayStation 1.
Oh.
Oh no, actually no, it's a Game Boy. Sorry. I got the Game Boy, but I don't remember that well. Because when I got the Game Boy, I got 3 games, I think. It was Tetris, Motocross Rally, and Super Mario. No, not
Solid.
Super Mario. Mario.
Solid. Every one of those are solid.
Every one of those was solid, but I didn't actually get that much into it because I showed my mom Tetris, and I never saw that Game Boy again.
Solid. Solid.
That is
He
the
was
one I would
just
steal.
addicted. She completely addicted to Tetris, so I didn't actually get to play that Game Boy that much.
That's awesome.
Somewhere around 1999 or 2000, I got a PlayStation 1. It was pretty brand new at that point. I still don't know how my mom could afford it, but I got it. And of course, the first thing I had to do was solder in a new chip.
Stole that shit. Mom is straight thiefing out there.
Yeah, so I fell off a bus. Anyway, I had to solder in a new chip because I wanted to play burnt games. There's piracy back then.
Oh, God, I could talk for... Anyway, sorry.
Because I didn't have money to buy a 60... back then it was still Deutsche Mark. Nowadays it's Euro, so it would be 30, 40 euros.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the money to buy a new game. So I lived off of burnt games, like pirated copies, and those free games you got in PC Mags.
Yeah. Yo.
I was like demo versions on there, and I was like, yes.
As a side note, I'm really sad. Deanna's never going to be able to experience that. Getting a random CD in a random gaming magazine, and you're just stoked. Like, dude, I could try this game. This is great. That's how, like, you got demos in the past for, like, PlayStation and everything. They give you, like, the first level for free and then go nuts.
Demos aren't really even a thing anymore. Like sometimes, very rarely, you see on Steam, play the demo version, and I'm like, oh, the demo!
Demo! It takes me back!
I remember getting full PC games in cereal boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got demos. All I got was demos. And I used to go to a VHS rental store. To get PlayStation 1 games. Like Tekken Tag Tournament, and Tekken 3.
Yep.
And at some point, when I could burn stuff, or rather, I went to a friend of mine who could burn stuff, I finally got to do that. And suddenly I had games. And that's how I got into gaming. I never bought another console again until the Switch, I think. Which has been sitting in a corner of my room for the past 3 years, and there's maybe 20 hours on it.
Send me the docking station. I need another one.
Yeah.
Gladly.
Just mail us the whole thing.
I'm considering selling it because I'm just not a console player. Like I got a PC and I realized that all games on a PC are free if you're a thieving bastard.
And we're here.
And you guys are here.
Yep.
So that's how I got into gaming. The first big games I had on PC were Counter-Strike, Half-Life. Played a lot of Opposing Force, played a lot of Counter-Strike. I actually went to the European Sports League for ESL, for Counter-Strike. I was in a clan.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
And
I remember you telling me about that, yeah.
Yeah. I was called Scout God. That was my nickname. because there was a gun there called the Scout, and it was a really easy to use sniper rifle. But yeah, that's that's how I got into gaming, and the normal progression, StarCraft. Actually, I met Charlotte playing just a metric shit ton of free MMORPGs. Mm-hmm. Charlotte and I played so many of them, like hundreds. We just tested all of them.
Yeah, I remember you guys trying to hook me into that, and I'm like, I can't do this. I still to this day, I'm just like, I can't. Like,
yeah. Well, yeah, that's how I got into gaming.
How about you, D? What's your take on everything? I know we tossed that ball around a little bit earlier, but what's your view on the whole thing?
Let's see. I may have had a DSi before you tossed me into Minecraft. I'm not sure. I think those were around the same time. Then I got Minecraft on my Kindle, and then I convinced my mom's boyfriend at the time to get Minecraft on the console, in which I always played creative mode and never went into survival. And then, yeah, I mostly played those for a couple years, and then I saw Tim again, and he bought me The Sims 4. That was an extreme addiction. And I have thousands of hours in that game. And then I started playing with you guys, and I had all these games thrown at me: Risk of Rain, Phasmophobia, like too much to comprehend.
There was a while like all three of us were racing to buy you the next game. Whatever it was we were playing, it was like whoever could just click the buy button fastest, like, was doing that.
Yeah, it was like,
and then
just waiting for some small inkling that she wanted to try the game, and it's just like we're all sitting there holding our games, like,
this one? Does this look good to you? Well, that's the best part, is we would all not wanting to pressure her, but at the same time wanting to get Dee to like mention any iota of just like, yeah, maybe, bam, game. Like,
here you go, it's $50. Try it.
Try it. I don't care.
I was waiting for two of you to buy me the same game at the same time. I was just waiting for that moment.
Well, if we're all being completely honest, Alex and I usually send each other messages.
Yeah.
You didn't did you? No? Okay, I already did it.
And I just kind of let them two handle it. If both of them said no, I would buy something.
Honestly, I see it as living vicariously through you, because I'm so jaded about some games now. Like, it's a bit, I don't know. Phasmophobia is a good example, actually, because I wasn't jaded about that game because it was something completely different, completely new. It wasn't a MOBA, it wasn't an FPS, it wasn't one of my many, many factory games that I will talk about later on.
We'll get to that.
Tim. It was something completely different and new, and I was really giddy about it. And I'm living vicariously through Deanna because those games are new for her. I'm like, yes, see new reactions.
I think that's something we can all kind of relish in too, is the fact that like we keep introducing her to new and different style games just all the time. Does this look interesting to you? Like, does this look interesting to you? Like, what is this? What is that? Granted, it's all funny just to throw a bunch of random games at her and just buy stuff, but it's also really interesting to see her reactions because they're for like real-time first reactions to what that play style is. Like, we'll take Apex for the perfect example, is like a battle royale style game, or Halo for the first time that she played that in multiplayer. All of those first, like, for me, the Halo was the biggest one. We played ODST together because I remember the first time I picked up an Xbox controller playing the first Halo, and I'm like, I need everyone I know to play this today. Like, then with me right now. I'll go buy 12 controllers, I just in case. Like, well, we ended up getting the what is it, the Master Chief Collection, so it had like everything. And the first one that's like truly campaign co-op and everything else, more than 2 people, was ODST. And I still remember because I was super happy. She's like, I really kind of like this. And I was just like, yes! We have a third! And then she got addicted to Apex, and I never saw that again. So
you can blame my boyfriend for that one.
Well, yes, but regardless, like just like Alex said, living vicariously through it, because all of these things are new and exciting, and it's awesome just to see newer reactions. Unlike us 3, which I think we can all agree with, we'll be like, oh, this is a clone of this. Oh, this is very reminiscent of this. Oh, this is built like this.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, D was the first one of any of us to play Apex, right? And then I log in one day, and Tim's installing it, or had it, or was booting it up or something.
Actually, not by a long shot, because I wanted to get you into playing Apex like a year and a half before that.
That's true. And then I was like, nah, I can't do another Battle Royale.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And I tried it a few times, and you both said, nah. Jason, your reasoning was, I don't want to install the Origin.
The Origin client. That's when it was still on Origin, yeah.
It was only on Origin?
It was only on Origin, yeah.
For a while.
For a long time, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't want another Battle Royale right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I mean, on top of that too, Alex and I always had a standing rule is that we never leave like a gamer behind in a game that they want to play. So when D texted me like, hey, like Apex, and I'm just like, hey, like I'll download it.
And now, out of all the people who you'd expect to not own this game, who doesn't own it?
Alex. Alex, the biggest Battle Royale person out of everyone we know, put forth way more hours in PUBG than any of us combined, and just won't even look at the game.
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah.
It's just so boring.
We could be doing like 2 duo games at a time, but he's just like, nah, man.
Nah, you 3 play. I'm gonna go back to my factory game.
Yeah. I'm gonna go encase the sun in something.
In case anybody is curious, in any of the videos that we're recording at my house, this is the monster that makes noise. Can you say hi to the internet? No, you just want my
jumps
attention.
into very important bits of me.
Yeah, this is my pup. This is the one that we try and keep quiet when we do recording at my place.
It is fairly easy. It's
Mm-hmm.
very easy to tire out.
Can I go back to doing my thing now, or do you still require more scratches? Since I'm preoccupied, Jason, how about you?
I had a very similar experience, I think, to Alex. Be it just I did it first. As I started the first games I remember playing, I remember playing on my dad's Odyssey, playing Pong. And then I don't have many memories of it because I was probably 4 or under that. I remember the Odyssey broke by the time I got my NES, which I got between like 5 and 6, was a Christmas or something. It was like the best fucking Christmas ever because it came with Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. I fucking loved both those games. Played a lot of hours in them. And I was totally sold on Nintendo. I was Nintendo consoles like right up until the time the Xbox came out, and I was still buying Nintendo consoles plus Xbox consoles. Played tons of games like Super Mario RPG for the Super NES was one of my favorites. Played a lot of GoldenEye for the N64. Jet Force Gemini for the 64, Mario Kart for both the Super NES and the N64. When I got into college, like I lived with roommates, and like a couple of them had PlayStations, so I played one of the games I really got addicted to was Tiger Woods Golf, and Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X is still probably one of my favorite games. Played a lot of Xbox and GameCube. And then I kind of got into PC gaming a little bit when I moved to the East Coast. People that I worked with at Target, like, there were like 6 or 7 of them that were playing World of Warcraft. And they're like, you should play. And I was like, okay. So I built a computer and installed World of Warcraft and played that for 9 years. Went through like 2 relationships. And they both played it too. And then, like, that's how I met like a lot of my lifelong friends, people I still talk to, even though we don't play games together anymore. And then I kind of fell into League of Legends right after World of Warcraft, like right after. And then I started buying PC games and playing games with you lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's say it's really funny to hear you and Alex talk about it, because I have a hybrid story between the both of you. Okay. So I had a big piracy aspect to my, like, gaming side of things. Deanna's looking at me like just ashamed. So I had a big piracy, like, period that lasted from like the age of 13 till today. And then
and yet you're worse at piracy than me.
yeah, that's because, like, I'll get really into it, and then, like, I'll be super good, and then I'm just like, I'm bored, and then I don't do anything for like a year, and then I go, hey Alex, you remember when you taught me this last year? Yeah, I need you to do it all over again, because I've replaced that information with just, like, Pokemon. Like, but I actually, when we posed the question, I actually, like, asked my mom. So my mom and I used to play games together all the time. And the first one that she introduced me to, not that I played, that she actually was, like, around playing, was the original Mario. I thought the first game that I ever actually played was Contra. I was incorrect. It was Ninja Gaiden, which really explains my, like, deep-seated love for that entire franchise. So I've played, like, 1, 2, and 3 for the Nintendo. I've played 1, 2, and 3 for the Xbox and all of their remakes. And I've played through, like, the one on PlayStation 3. I think they made one for another remake on 4. Like, I played through all of those. I actually have it on my wish list for Steam because I want to play through all 3 of them again. But that was, like, really how I started. Like, she actually told me, she's like, yeah, the first time that you grabbed a controller was when I was trying to play Ninja Gaiden, and I could not get it out of your hands. You were sitting there just trying to, like, jump through the level and, like, hit people with the sword and stuff like that. And she's like, I remember you, like, pointing at the screen every time you'd make it through the level. Like, I did it. Look, I did it. So from there, like, I started with Nintendo, and I think the first system I actually had was a Super Nintendo. And I started playing, like, A Link to the Past, Contra 3, a couple of, like, random racing games. Street Fighter was really big. But then, like, the friends that I made, like, they would have, like, PlayStation, they would have all kinds of other stuffs. So it was funny. So when I was a kid, we used to, like, divide and conquer. So, like, when Christmas time would come around, I'd be like, I'll ask for the N64, you go for the PlayStation, we'll get this done. Like, and that's exactly what happened. So my buddy at the time, he ended up getting a PS1, which I had my first introduction to RPGs then. So I started playing, like, Final Fantasy VII, Legend of Dragoon, and started, like, going through all of those. And then on the N64 side, it was, like, Pokemon Stadium, GoldenEye, Donkey Kong, like, all of those, like, old classics that I sat there and, like, played hours and hours and hours into. And then it was something similar. I went, got a GameCube. He got a PS2, like, and we divided and conquered again. So I ended up playing, like, a ton of Super Smash Brothers and Sonic and everything else. But during that time period, like, my family would just start, like, gifting me systems, like ones that they would find, like, in storage or whatever. So I ended up getting, like, a Sega Genesis, a Sega CD. I had an Atari, like a couple Game Boys and stuff like that. So I just started accumulating like games for everything. And then, so if any of my friends came over, I was just like, I have the wares. Which would you like to play? I have 4 Game Boys. Like, we can do this together. And then eventually I picked up a PlayStation on my own, PS1, PS2, as well as Xbox. So right around that time, I was super big into like music piracy. And my best friend growing up, he's just like, hey, I have something to show you. Okay? Brings over this PlayStation that's just modded to hell. And he's like, hey, like, you like Gundams, right? I'm like, I fucking love robots. You know this. Like, 12-year-old me is ecstatic right now. You just mentioned the word. It's great. So he actually modded the PS2 to play burned games, much like Alex did with his own PlayStation. And we played, like, imported games from Japan. He actually brushed up more on his Japanese, which he was already basically fluent in, just to be able to play more games that were imported. And then taught me enough of it so I can, like, fumble my way through the menus just to play the game on my own when he wasn't around, too. So eventually I bought it, started burning games and playing stuff and everything else. In fact, my first copy of Disgaea 2 was burned and ripped from the internet. And I ended up going out and buying it, so everybody calm down, okay? I love the franchise. I bought all their games. I bought all their stuff. Like, okay? Like, everybody settle.
Is piracy such a crime?
About it. Yeah, I keep thinking about it. I think we could do a whole podcast about this, because piracy is the reason I even got into gaming, I even got into music, and it's the reason I now own like 600 games on Steam. I have a huge collection of books, even though I pirated them before. I have a huge music collection and a Spotify account, even though I only started buying music like 2 years ago, because I got a good job.
Yeah,
before that, I had to pirate. I couldn't listen to stuff without piracy. I couldn't watch movies that I now own. I couldn't watch TV shows that I now own without piracy. So there could be a whole podcast about this.
Yeah, I think
that's kind of where I was going.
I was in the same. Go ahead.
Oh, that's kind of where I was going to head with that. It's just like, is piracy so bad? Because like, we all pirated stuff when we were younger because we were poor. We didn't have money. Yeah. Like, I didn't have the money to listen to 60 albums at the same time, but I wanted to.
Yeah. My thing was too is like I had so many other systems and stuff. Yeah, like I couldn't afford to buy games for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, piracy is. I don't have a moral problem with piracy. I'm going to be honest. Like, it's the reason I now spend a lot of money on illegitimate stuff. If I hadn't pirated my whole life, I wouldn't do that now. Now I like the legitimacy. You know, I like that I have a Spotify account that I can just take with me and that I don't have to go on weird Russian websites and download potentially virus-laden MP3s.
I didn't really have that option when I was younger, like from a gaming standpoint, because I was on carts all the time. So it was.
Oh, we pirated carts too.
Well, I know you can, but I didn't have the resources to. Like, I didn't have the internet until I was like 16.
No, we actually like ran around with floppy disks. I had like 16 floppy disks for one single N64 game or something.
N64, nice.
And we had one cartridge. We only had one empty cartridge. That's all we had. So we decided, okay, we're gonna play that game, and then we all got together and went to an adult friend of ours who actually had one of those
abandoned warehouse.
Candy, lots of candy at that house.
We did we did rock, paper, scissors. Who's gonna get molested for that week?
Jesus Christ. It's your turn.
That popped into my head, and I must have repressed it.
Never sounded so dirty.
This is great. This is quality stuff.
Quality content.
Quality content. This is great. Only bringing the A+ material.
This is why we had to abandon and erase this podcast. Last 48
Anyway, he had that machine for burning cartridges, or rather, like writing on cartridges. Yeah. I remember I had a Japanese copy for my Game Boy with like 256 games on it, except that only like 16 worked. Yes. Because if you picked any of the other ones, your Game Boy would just crash. Yeah.
You could still get like carts like that. It's just like, yeah, here's a cartridge and it's got 900 Game Boy games on it. It's like, how? And it's because it's like 12 of them repeated over and over and over again.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's insane, yeah.
I just became aware of like people trying to sell fake games, like fake retro games, because obviously a lot of people collect. And it pissed me off because they're like, yeah, they showed a picture and they captured it with like, yeah, guess which one of these is fake, and it was Pokemon Leaf Green, like right in the center. It's like, yeah, there was no Leaf Green in the US, I'm pretty sure.
Not till much later.
Yeah, I think you have to import that.
Yep.
That's actually a good point.
That was just somebody faking a label.
Red or blue?
Oh, is this how we're going to sound off of the end of this podcast? Blue all day.
Red.
You motherfuckers.
You fucker. I'm gonna beat you down.
I actually, funny story, I had yellow first.
Wow. That means you're yellow. Sorry. That means you're yellow.
Fair enough. But I bought red after I played through yellow because I wanted to trade.
I bought red twice. I bought it the first time. No, I actually got it the first time as a gift.
Oh.
It was like $70 back then. That was a huge amount for me. That was just staggeringly high. And I got it as a gift, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is the greatest day ever!" And I just the very first time I touched Pokemon was not actually on my game, and you only had one save slot. So a friend of mine lent me his copy of Red, and I didn't want to save over his slot. So what I did was I hooked it up to the AC outlet, and I let it run.
Till you finished it?
For 2.5 weeks, my Game Boy was never turned off, and I finished the game.
Jesus.
And my grandma heard about that, and she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna buy it for him." I was like, "Yes!" And then I lost it in the Cologne Dome. We went on a school trip to Cologne, and we went to the massive cathedral, the cathedral dome. It's called, at least in German, it's called the Dome of Cologne. And I lost my backpack with my copy of Red, and So I saved up for like 4 months or something. Got the $70 and I bought it again for myself.
Can I go on a sidebar really quick?
Yeah, sure.
This is why I think if Alex is going to move to the US, he has to move to Minnesota because all the fucking city names are the same.
Is there a Cologne there?
There's a Cologne, Minnesota. Yes, there is.
Fucking why?
There's tons of Germans here, man. Tons of former Germans.
Cologne, Minnesota. I want to see this. Oh my god, there is.
I want it to be the same shape too.
Like I told
shit little.
It is shit little. Mini. Yes, it is. I've told Alex this before, but there's a New Germany, Minnesota.
Yep. So,
oh god.
Before too much longer, what about you, D? I know there's a couple generations between when we played the first generation and when you started, but which would you choose?
Well, my first Pokemon game was X.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I've played
that. Pokemon X. I've
played almost all the games that came out after that, but I definitely like X the best. I played that one the longest. I played that one over.
I remember you convincing me to buy Y, and I can't remember what it was. I think you were on your second playthrough of X, and you're like, you should buy Y, and I'm like, all right, like I'll go to the store and buy it, and then afterwards you're like, I'm done playing this. I'm like, so I'm just like, okay, good.
No.
Like I don't want to do this anymore.
Catch me on the next generation.
We are, as a side note, we're at an hour right now, by the way.
That's fine.
Okay. Break?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Let's do a
little break.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. You can call us good for
we'll
now.
call
That's
it
a good first round. Bye, everybody. Come on back.
Bye.
See ya.